So it's been a long ass time since I've actually even seen you, like let alone talk to you. So
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
it's been a long time. Yeah, and just here recently have I like put my face like out on the internet kind of thing since MySpace for sure.
Yeah,
So I never had the Facebook. I was up in the Sierras for a little bit, right around the time like smartphones were super getting big anyway. So I just kind of missed a big chunk of it at first.
yeah.
But here I am.
Well,
What have you been doing, man?
well, man, it's been crazy. Yeah, did the military route there. Got to travel the world and stuff. But
Very cool.
yeah,
I did.
it's been interesting ride, I guess you can say, since high school, and making the best of it.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Man. You're building the family, dude. You are making the best of it. Definitely.
yeah,
That's cool. I'm envious
yeah,
of the military route. If somebody told me that like 6 years wasn't that long, like it goes by like maybe once when you're in it, I'm sure it doesn't go by that fast. But 6 years in the grand scheme is like not a long time, and
yeah. Well, I
definitely
did
envious of that
four.
route.
I did the 4 years, and then, but it does seem like forever, man. There was this one guy uh, talking like, yeah, it goes by slow. He had it on his watch, like the freaking day, the
Oh my
minutes,
god,
the hours left.
no, that would
To like the very last second. It's like, holy
that would
crap,
play
dude.
with me. That would play with my head. I wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah, like it. I think it was easier when you're like, oh, I got a year left.
Yeah,
Like you can kind of gauge it a little bit because you won't think about every day that way if it's on your wrist and you're looking at your watch.
and I
It
would stare
just,
at that.
yeah.
I would totally stare at that. Oh man, definitely. That's cool though, man. So what? Go ahead. This is your show.
Oh
I'm
no,
used to
you're
being
good.
the
You're good.
interviewer, man. Like you got to take control of me.
Oh, I know. No, it's cool. But yeah, so what you been up to, man? Because the last time I seen you, it's been like this is how I remember the last time seeing you. I think you had like Liberty spikes going on.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was a long ass time ago. Because junior high, you were like complete opposite. I remember like freshman year high school started, and I was like, "What the fuck happened to Levi, man? This dude got Liberty spikes. He totally flipped the script."
Yeah, yeah. I expanded my mind a little bit. I don't, we don't want to get too deep, but
Oh yeah,
Levi was bullied a little bit,
oh
and
yeah,
I kind of changed my vibe a little bit when I went into high school. Kind of seeing like either you're gonna think this is cool and people are into it, or it's gonna keep the people I don't want away. Me, mean
yeah,
Levi. But yeah, I had
yeah.
like the punk rock vibe going on, and definitely was. It wasn't just a vibe, that's for sure. It stuck with me. I've had many phases of Levi over the years, But yeah, that was senior year. I had the big crazy Liberty spikes. My hair has always been it still is. It's a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I get that part though. I'm not sure if you kind of tuned into most of the stuff when I talked to John, but yeah, I think the bullying in Houston specifically, kind of low key,
Yeah,
because I
and
experienced it myself, and
I'm guilty of
just
it to a few people too. I lashed out, just because I was getting lashed out at. So that's not cool. And I see that.
yeah,
I see that. Looking back on it, like, oh, yeah,
yeah,
I was
which is
an ass.
retrospect is a little different though. When you look back
Yeah,
at it, I mean, it is what it is. That's how I always look at it. It happened, whatever. I mean,
exactly. It happened, and you either can dwell on it and like totally let it ruin your life, or you can look back at it and feel it, feel it to heal it,
yeah,
and grow from it. Yeah, and you and I hung out a lot in middle school. Like we were like that when you go from like playing every day, it's like you've got that homie you chat with and you like
yeah.
walk in circles around, around you drink your soda and eat your chips and you walk in a circle and chat till the next period. Like
Oh yeah.
we were in
I
that
mean,
stage. It was a cool friendship stage.
it's funny because like I've even I was telling my wife this. I was like, man, if we weren't like playing basketball or something, we'd go play chess in
Yeah,
junior high. Like
that's
chess
right.
was kind of like a big deal for some reason in junior
Yeah,
high.
it was.
Oddly,
And I just played here recently. I hadn't played chess in a long time, not like really any board games really. And yeah, it's been a long time, and I thought about play a little bit differently. I think then I'm older and I do it a little slower now.
yeah,
Moving pieces around the board as a kid. Unless I was better than I thought I was, I don't know. I don't think so though.
yeah.
I don't want to give myself that much credit.
But man, yeah. So what you been up to since those days? I mean, I know now you're doing crazy shit, but kind of interested in what got to this point where you're at now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, grandparents really wanted me to go to college, go to college. And I just was not super intrigued in running away to college right away. And my grandma always said, well, if you're not going to go to school, like you need to be in sales. You need to, you need to sell those people with money things so you can have their money. And I followed that a little bit, but I worked at Guitar Center for a long time. Like right out of high school, I was the drum shop manager in Modesto for a while, almost 3 years I was there. And it was cool. Got into the local music scene. I was the drum off judge a couple years. Or even after I worked there, they called me to be a drum off judge a couple different years. But I kind of disappeared from that local music scene. I was in a couple bands, and it was a lot of fun. And then while I was still making music, one of my buddies, we went up to Pinecrest. My friend had a cabin in Strawberry, really nice cabin. And, big vaulted ceilings, and let's go record. We're going to go record the Strawberry sessions, or hippies, And it was really good tunes. I have to find some of it. I'm sure I have it. But we just fell in love with being in the mountains, and we're like, dude, how do we just be up here? And we realized rent was like pretty affordable up there at the time. So, it was like $500 for this like top floor of this cabin we were renting together, like this little hobbit hole. But we wanted to write music, and we both got a job at the lake resort in Pinecrest. So we worked at the restaurant, we bartended, we did like the maintenance stuff. Like we started like 5 o'clock in the morning and do all this like trash hauling and kitchen cleaning. But we were off at 1. We could rent boats we got boats for free. We could hang out at the bar. You work at the restaurant, you never grocery shop. We worked at Mia's in Cold Springs. That if you're ever on your way up to Dodge, like it's the pizza place, the only pizza place in Cold Springs, and that was cool. Learned how to throw dough, and use a brick oven and be on a kitchen line and do that kind of stuff. And I came back down to the valley, with the grandparents and some things like that. Just wanted to be. I never got much further than that, like the hour away. With like my grandparents being like me being like the only child on that end of it. I was always kind of antsy about that, and my dad and. Got into Skip's music. If anybody's in the Modesto area remember Skip's music, I was there for a long time. And then car sales, man. I was in car sales for a long time. I was all buttoned down and like the 3-piece suit every day and really nice cologne. And I worked for Mercedes and BMW for a long time. It was really cool. BMW put me through a lot of like performance driving training and just like build quality training. I went from sales to being like their product specialist, which was just like a gussied up term for you go sell the car for the sales guy, but we'll bonus you really nicely, and I was cool with that because I didn't have to like cold call anybody anymore. I could just like hang out and test drive cars with people, and it's really easy to sell a BMW, if you take the right back road and let people just have at it. Be really careful which one you choose if you're going to go buy a BMW. Like check the miles on the lot and see which one's been had fun with, But I had a lot of fun there. That was really cool. And that was right around time, like with my pops and stuff. So, but yeah, dude, I did a bunch of stuff. I put
that's what I was gonna
delivery shit, like working the dock and working, just around the lake in Pinecrest was probably one of my cooler chapters. That and Guitar Center were my cool chapters.
Well,
I thought I would go back to school, but
I think that's kind of the cool thing though, because like everybody. I feel like a lot of people think there's like this certain way you have to do things, where you have to graduate high school, go to college right away. But I've thought about this a few times when you do stuff like that, maybe, but you get to have that time where you get to experience, live life a little bit, find yourself. I think is the older I've gone, I think is more important than anything else, man.
Yeah. Like and I've seen them doing that like every chapter right now.
Well, it's important, like I've thought that. If I hadn't gone the Navy route, if I would have gone like straight to college, which I probably wouldn't have because I wasn't a good enough student in high school to probably get into any colleges. But
no, you never know, man.
Yeah, no. But then you miss out on living. Like I did. I had a lot of fun traveling the world, fucking around,
hell yeah,
partying, getting to live life, like experience life, and then.
Yeah, with a paycheck, dude. With a guaranteed paycheck. And like
with a guaranteed paycheck and
to care for your family. Like, dude, no, it's solid. It's solid, dude. It's good.
But that's what sounds like kind of you've done a lot of, finding yourself through some crazy journeys and different jobs and stuff. But
yeah, I ran to the woods to find myself. When I first moved up there, I was like this is amazing. I work around the lake. I had super long hair, and I was just kind of using the natural soap in the lake every afternoon after work because, I'd haul trash around. It was not glamorous, but I had a golf cart. This lady saw my sales record. She's like, why do you want to work here? And I'm like, have you looked outside? Like, that's why I want to work here, And she said golf cart. And I'm like, I'm in, dude. I get to drive a golf cart around this place. And it was nice. We had scrub in the lake, and I'd hike around the lake every day. And then I'd work the bar at night. So it was really work all day. You get 2 shifts of working, but you're kind of partying at night. You get the right bartender or the right bar back or the right waiter or waitress to hang out with. And it was always just a party. So it was kind of sad to come back to the flats, But I found some very cool stuff down here in the flats, and I like going up to the mountains. I think I said that in one of my stories recently. Like, you don't have to go hike to find yourself. Like, it's not necessary to walk that far to find yourself usually. But yeah, what I found now has like just taken me. I don't really care as long as there's an airplane. And now I don't even need the airplane with some of the stuff I'm doing. So I'm starting to think about doing, we'll say.
But, I mean, I think you're doing what, like you're talking about, just even going outside, like what they call it, like being grounded, getting your feet on the ground. I think that's like a huge thing now. Like everybody's talking about that. I've seen that like all over social media. Everybody's like, yeah, I think that's starting to become more of a topic because I think a lot of people have gotten in this cycle of work, go home, and that's all they do. Like you don't. Yeah, that's boring. That's miserable to.
Yeah,
for most people.
Slippers, from work shoes to slippers. And I did that. Yeah. I did that every night at the dealership, man. I was ready to go home and eat chicken wings and sit and watch Netflix. And, I've done that. I like that. I haven't done that in like a year and a half, though. The van, the chilling in the van and being at the airport, like, there's some things you miss,
Yeah, but it sounds like you're going the simplistic route, or you are in the simplistic route of things. And, man, I'll have to do some serious editing on this one. That's great.
No, it'll be fine.
Usually I can download and go. This one's going to be.
At least you don't have to get back on the airplane and take a shot again, Like, we don't have to go try this all one more. We don't have to go risk my pack job one more time,
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, but yeah, what I was saying.
We were talking about grounding, and like kind of new for me, honestly, like trying to focus on things like that. Because I'm the same thing. Like I said, I was in the grind. For a long time. I still kind of am, like with what I'm doing right now. I mean, we'll get into it. But yeah.
It seems like a lot of people want that type of thing, but they're afraid to do it. I could say myself included. They're to be outside more. You have to give up time doing other things, and it's like you always hear the excuse, "I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that." So that's
big in what I do now in teaching, and I hear students say that, like, I don't know if I have time. And well, you that's the old saying, you really make the time if you want to do it. And it's different. Everybody, like for me right now, no kids, no partner, no nothing like that. Like, it's really easy for me to just say, I'm going to go do this today, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it while I can. So it's tough, like you said, 2 kids, one on the way, And what's your current gig right now? What are you doing right
now? I'm a sales manager.
See, yeah, exactly, and that probably follows you home a little bit too, doesn't it?
Not too much. Like, because I've had those office jobs where I've been stuck to the seat in front of the computer all day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the first job I have where I can kind of dictate my entire day. Like, hey, if I want to go bust my ass today, I can go bust my ass. If I want to cut out early, I'll cut out early. That's kind of why I took it. That's why I took it. This is the first job where I've had like the work-life balance in my favor,
Good. Well, it's good. I'm glad you have that work-life balance now.
Yeah, I think it's important to have,
Yes. And that's the thing, even with that. So, like, you have to decide, like, do I have time to go run my kids and wife off into the woods today to like get grounded? And it's not even that. I think it's just getting your shoes off, like really just being in the dirt somewhere, or just doing something that you enjoy, especially with the family. And whereabouts are you? Like, what? I mean, you don't have to get too specific, obviously, on the internet, but like, I mean, whereabouts are you now?
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully nobody's like stalking me, but yeah, I'm in like Southern California. I'm actually like at the foothill of the mountains out here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure plenty of stuff. There's
nothing,
hiking trails, a
nothing too
river, a
wild.
creek, a pond. If so, I mean, I'm sure somebody that's watching this is like has seen like the abundance of nonsense I put on my stories on Instagram. But that reservoir that I go to is a man-made reservoir 5 minutes from the airport. That nobody goes to because it's just a water holding tank for the aqueduct. But you get what you want from it. It's a body of water, and you go jump in it. And is there an asphalt parking lot right behind me with a barbecue pit and all this stuff? Like, yeah, but it's reservoir, it's water, it's in the foothills, it's in the wind, in the sunshine. Like, you go take what you want from it. And it doesn't matter if it's even just the park in town. Like, go be outside for a while. Your phone and the apps and the emails and all that stuff it'll be there. Mine's in my pocket too. Obviously, it's in my hand.
Yeah.
So, but there are ways to disconnect from it for a little bit and enjoy it, man.
That's a hard thing to do, right? Like disconnecting. I know I had those moments where I'm like, I look up, I'm like, holy crap, I've been scrolling for way too long. Like I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people are guilty of that, and that's like the worst feeling when you do look up. It's been like 10+ minutes. You're like,
and whatever
the fuck am
episode
I
you
doing?
had on, you're double binging content, and whatever episode's just paused out. And, ooh, that's bad. How long's that been off?
Oh yeah, I literally had that happen to me just the other day. I was watching one of the new Star Wars shows or something, the Shoka or whatever.
Yeah, jealous.
Oh man! And I was like watching an episode, and I started looking at my phone for something, and then I looked up, and it was ending. I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I just missed this whole freaking episode. I sat down purposely to watch.
All of
I started like scrolling through some BS.
That's why popular reels are like 7 seconds long, man. 6-7 seconds. That's our attention span. That's what we're like pretty much willing to give up before we check in for the next thing.
Which is kind of sad, right?
It is. It's tough, man. It's tough. I'm glad I work a minute at a time these days because a minute, I can just about keep your attention for that minute.
Yeah. Well, it's like even if you're not doing drugs or drinking alcohol, being addicted to your phone for 7 seconds, but a 10-minute gap or 10-minute period, that's just as bad as being addicted. You're addicted to something.
Yeah,
which is wild.
So. Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of it. Definitely guilty. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. So.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. So I was going to ask you too. Then I know you hit on your father a little bit, like, and the things that he was going through, like dementia. I believe you said when you mentioned me or messaging each other and stuff. And
yeah,
I'm kind of curious, like the impact that had on you. His passing, and is that kind of what led you to where you are now? Like.
I think it played a little part in it. My dad was like a hard ass. I don't know, like I'm sure if like there's anybody from our high school that's watching or middle school like that remembers my dad, like he's a straight up like David Mann, Harley Davidson like artist character. Like he's spot on. He was a hard ass, and he was hard ass on me, and just a tough guy, And so to see him, he took care of my great grandmother for a while when she kind of started to get weak, towards the end before she went into assisted care, and he kind of took over her place in Modesto. And a couple years into kind of just him hanging out on his own and not having anything to do, and he totaled the bike he crashed his bike a couple times, and he was an iron worker. He'd fallen and like shattered his wrist. He'd had a Cadillac, hit him on a motorcycle and fillet his leg open. He was missing like 3/4 of the muscle, so he had a lot of metal in him, and so he wasn't riding anymore. And like I just watched him start to get quiet, man. And he'd start calling me. I worked at the dealership, so I was working for BMW, and he called me, and it just was right around the corner, and like, hey, my TV's broken. Like, what'd you do to my TV? Like, come over here and check on my TV. And I'm like, what do you mean? Your TV's brand new. You always have a new TV. Like, what do you mean? And I come over there, and it's just like not on. Well, what do you mean? I don't know. It's just not working. I'm like, well, did you hit the power button? And oh, hello, new remote. Yeah, that's right. Forgot, new remote. And I'm like, oh, okay. He just had the old remote. And then it kept happening, like the remote or the my heater's not working, my AC's not working, and it was just like somebody hit a light switch, man. All of a sudden he's shuffling around, he's kind of forgetting how to walk and forgetting where he is at night and in the morning, and wanting to wander around the house. And the Parkinson's, man, they'll just seize up and fall over. So it was hard to watch my dad go from this really hard, like Easy Rider movie character, like total red and white HA scary guy, and to watch him just like become a child and need a bib and to need help doing everything. And I was willing to do that for my dad. He always joked, "Oh, you're gonna have to do all this for me one day. I did this for you when you were a baby, so I hope you're ready to do it for me. Oh yeah, sure thing, Dad." And so it sucked when it got to the point where my mom and I were staying with him off and on for like as many hours of shifts as we could handle, and it got to the point where like we needed help. We needed more help than that, and had to go to assisted care kind of thing, and it just. You know how it goes once you get into some places like that, and they did really great care. They took really great care of him through COVID. We were really worried, being in a care facility like that with COVID running around with all the stuff. And he was in Turlock, and all the ones you were seeing were in Turlock, and it was every day we were just waiting for to say it was at that place, and that never really happened. And yeah, when he passed, it was just it was ugly. Like I say, it was just hard to see him go from such a hard character to this little soft old man, and we all kind of need to be ready. Never know how anybody's going to go. Some of our parents may outlive us, but it is rough to see that. I try to remember my dad on the hard ass side, but it affected me to see that. It was a big wake up for me, like to see what could possibly run in my family, what I might be setting up somebody for, and what I'm not setting myself up for, and not have some kid to take care of me, but yeah, it hit me, and I'd stopped working at the dealership just to not have like a stressful job while I was trying to take care of him. So I had a very just basic delivery job in the legal marijuana business, so I did that for a while. I worked commercially in that for a while. But yeah, some friends saw that I was pretty down and out, not having my pops, and I lost my grandfather about a year later as well. And so both the big, strong male figures in my family gone, and I'm kind of a wild child, kind of like my dad. I'm not as responsible as my grandfather, that's for sure. How many of us are as responsible as our grandfathers? If we're even like a quarter of what our grandpas were, any of us, girls included, like if you're even a quarter what your grandpa or your grandma were, like you're doing good, But yeah, I had some friends hit me up, and they're like, "Hey, you want to go skydiving? You want to go get cheered up?" And wow, I've thought about that for a long time. My mom always wanted to go to Lodi, go skydive, and I was like, man, she'll kick my ass if I go without her. But like, yeah, let's go skydive. I thought they were gonna all go for a tandem, kind of thing. I worked with these guys. We were growers. I don't want to go too deep into that on here, but we were growers back in the day. This is back in the day. We worked together, and they never told me that they were like licensed, regular. We call it fun jumpers when you're a licensed skydiver and you just do it for fun. It's called fun jumping. So they didn't tell me this. So we showed up to this place out in the middle of the desert, like in the middle of nowhere. I've never been to Byron. I've never heard of Discovery Bay. Like it's outside of Tracy. I've never heard of this place. And it's just like a circus, dude. There's so many people, and there's like fabric everywhere on the ground. There's all these parachutes, there's all these wild people in colorful clothes, and like people jumping for the first time, and like these wild guys taking people's picture, and like dude, what is this place? It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory,
That's cool.
And I'm like, cool, where do we sign up? And they're like, well, hold on, we're gonna get our shit out of the locker. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they pull out all the wingsuits and parachutes and all the stuff that I'd never seen before. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I can't do this you do this by yourself? Like, I'm not doing this alone. They're like, no, you're not doing it alone. Like, our homie's gonna take you. We're gonna chase you. Oh shit! Like, so that's normally when you do a tandem, like nobody's going with you. It's you and the guy, or you and the camera guy. So when you have a skydiving friend, it's kind of cool. They go with you. So it's all these people floating around you. So when I landed from that, I was jazzed. And don't want to look like a pussy in front of your friends. I was terrified. I was terrified, dude. I was shaking, asking all the questions. Like, so you do this all the time, bro? Like how many times do you do this a day? All the questions people ask me now, And I was absolutely scared shitless under that parachute too, man. I wanted down right then. Like my tandem guy, if he won't watch this, he probably won't. But my tandem guy was so mad that day. He was like pissed at the world that day, and he was just not pleasant under parachute, So, and I strive to be like really, really positive all the time. and I landed, and they were like, "What do you think, man? You want to be a skydiver?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" On the spot, on camera, and I'm like, "Yeah, I want to be a skydiver." Fuck, and they drug me to this, they drug me to Lodi, and I, whatever. There's local blah about Lodi, and I know better than that. And I learned to skydive in Lodi in a weekend, and spent the next month, in other places in Lodi and the wind tunnel, like learning to get my license all the way done. And then I just started. That was my weekends, man. Like I did whatever I had to do. I was working at that little winery cider place. I did whatever I had to do to be at the drop zone on the weekend. It just ate my life up. All of a sudden, that's all you want to do. It's an addiction, like for sure, you know. Um, and you go through that phase where like you get your license and you just want to tell everybody about it. And I'm still in that phase. I'm way beyond like just got your license phase. But you go through that beginning stage where you drag everybody you can out to the drop zone, to take a tandem. Like, go for a tandem, go skydiving, come be a skydiver with me. And you slowly realize that you are the most batshit out of all your friends. And it takes a while to do. Like if you see a video on YouTube, like whoever's head that camera is on, like has more than 200 skydives. Like you have to have at least 200 skydives, and above average free fall skill and canopy skill, because you're going to have this thing that you're worried about attached to your face now. And so the USPA, the United States Parachute Association, requires a certain amount of jumps before you just go willy-nilly with a camera. So it takes a long time to be able to chase your friends. So you should kind of hold off until you can actually chase your friends to bring them out there.
So at what point did you know, though, like, this is what I really want to start doing? Because you said the first one, you're kind of like apprehensive a little bit. You're like, yeah, I love it.
Dude,
so
all my jumps, like all of my first, like, 100, 150 jumps, like I sweaty palms, like, and you never get complacent. But like, I remember vividly, like, crawling into the airplane behind my instructor in Lodi, like, swiping the sweat, just being like, what the hell are you doing here, dude? Like, what are you doing? You sell cars, like, you deliver weed, like, you don't jump out of airplanes. Like, who are you fooling? Like, the most extreme thing I do is ski, like snow ski and like water ski, barely, and barely snow ski at that. So avid, but not like pro, I don't do crazy backflips and shit. But I remember thinking, like, if I get 100 jumps in, like, that's a lot of I got 100 skydives. I'll quit, if I stay alive like long enough to get 100 skydives. But by 100, I was hooked, man. And around that, like, around 150, like all growing up in those jump numbers in that first year, I was around the staff, and the staff jumpers they're badass. They've got thousands of jumps, and they make it look really easy. They're not nervous. They run. If they're using house gear, they will run airplane to airplane. It's called turning, turning it hot. You drop the gear and you grab your next person or your next rig and you get on the airplane as it's landing and you're back up, and you look at that as a new jump and you're like, whoa, how do you do that?
That's intense. I'd imagine.
Yeah. And you're looking at these camera guys. The camera guys are bad because they just skydive all day. They just go take people's pictures. They go chase the tandem and they do flips and they hold their hand and they pump you up, and I'm like, these guys are badass. I want to be like these guys. What do I got to do this? And my buddies worked there, part time, and they're like, well, you need 200 skydives to even take the camera, and you need 200 in the coach rating to even be near the tandem pair, because the tandem has its, two people together has its own whole set of rules, and even as a solo jumper next to them, you have to know what the tandem master is going to do if the shit hits the fan. You can't be in the way. Or if you become what's in the way, you need to know what's going to happen to you. That's the scary one. You get wrapped up in their stuff. Like, you need to know what's going to happen to you as a camera guy. So you watch these guys just do it all with grace and ease, and they run and they pack their parachute in 5 minutes, and they're just like the coolest guys ever. And you're like, man, I want to be like that guy. So that's what I started to like strive for, was get the jump numbers, get comfortable with the camera, and start, they call it specking. You go chase the tandems, for free. You pay to get on the airplane. But your goal in your skydive is to go practice filming the tandem to get sellable footage. You keep them in the center, get the exit shot with the airplane, get the landing, be up close, get them to do finger guns and double I love yous, and you just get people out of their box. So you're just a clown. You're just a clown falling through the sky, and that's what I wanted to do.
That's so wild though, man. Because like when I was looking through some of your videos, I was like, there's just no fucking way. Like I was,
There is.
uh, I
There
was
is
like, man, that it reminded me of like when I was a kid and afraid of roller coasters, and then you finally get over your fear, but that's just totally different. You know, you're falling from the sky, so it's like, fuck, that's just wild.
Well, and it's kind of my job to convince everybody all day. And roller coaster, like I love roller coasters when I was a kid, man. My grandfather would take me everywhere, Magic Mountain, Knott's Berry, to Disneyland all the time, Great America, and we loved riding roller coasters. Like you couldn't stop me all day. And I went down to Magic Mountain like probably like 2 years into having my skydiving license and being like, roller coasters, whatever. And I got on that X2 one that just absolutely fraps all these roller coasters. They just frap on your bones, man. They're so aggressive. And I got through like 5 roller coasters that day. I think like 3 hours. I'm like, dude, I'm done. I'm
But
going home.
X2
That thing's aggressive.
is a fucking wild ride, man.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. If you
My
can
wife
handle
and I
that,
went on that.
you can take a nap while you're skydiving, dude. I'm serious. I'm dead serious. That roller coaster was aggressive.
Well, that's the
Skydiving's
first
more
roller
fun.
coaster. That's the first one where I had like fear tears when I got off. My wife and I
Oh,
went on.
really?
We were dating. We went there, and while you're going up, you can't see where you're going, and it just drops, and you're like swinging as it's going
Yeah.
on this track. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And you get off, and you're like, man, I had tears just like going down my face. I was like, what just happened? Like, I'm not going on that.
That's
That
like
ride.
that really tall one there. I can't think of what it is, but it's like the fastest, longest drop, whatever. And like I'm like, whatever. Like I've lost my goggles on skydives. Like I can that. Yeah, that roller coaster watered me out, dude. I was done. So that first hill was crazy. So yeah,
That's
man.
what I was gonna. I
You
was
can
gonna ask
handle
you that
that.
too with the goggles and shit like that, because is that like also because of pressure of just falling from the sky? That might be a stupid question, but I
No,
mean,
it's just purely to be able to see. Yeah, I mean, like it'd be like next time you're driving on the highway, and I do this in other friends' cars, like I stand up in there, I'll stand up in their sunroof, and just like let me feel it. But yeah, dude, I mean, after 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, like you can't see, and your eyes will just force themselves closed on that. Um, so the goggles for tandem passengers and students, new students, we keep an open face helmet. Like I want to see your face, and I need you to possibly hear me. But I need to see if you're there. I need to see if you've checked out deer in headlights if you're awake for this skydive. But yeah, goggles for tandems to see and stuff. But most guys, I mean, you watch videos on YouTube and we all have full face helmets, just like a motorcycle, and it's just to remain calm and be able to see and breathe. Because yeah, people tell me all the time they're worried about not being able to breathe. And yeah, when you have 120-mile-an-hour wind in your face the first time, you're trying to figure out like what hole do I breathe through, you know? So I tell everybody to smile and breathe through your nose. It'd be just like if you're on the motorcycle. You wouldn't be taking big through your mouth on the motorcycle.
wow.
It just gets overwhelmed. So there's a great Facebook page. I think it's called the Faces of Tandem, and it's people's faces just blown up in the wind. It's good. It's art, man. It is. It's art.
And then like, because I'm guessing you jump at like people that go there, they want to jump for the first time or whatever too, right? So you do stuff like that. How many of those individuals are like kind of like how you were? Maybe they're like, hey, yeah, I'll try it out, and they get hooked. Have you had that happen?
Yeah, so I went from camera guy, and around 700 jumps, 800 jumps, I got my AFF, which is accelerated free fall instructor. It's how you teach solo people. And then I have my tandem rating, which is where you take live ones, strap to you, strap the monkey to you, go skydive. I would say out of I'm a new TI, so I have like 300 tandems right now. But I think maybe 3, so it's easy 1 in 100 that are like, hey, let's do this. And of those 3 that I took for their very first tandem and did their AFF, those 3 are still jumping. The numbers are crazy. Like the sport is only 13% female. So if you're a girl and you're watching this, like, please come to the drop zone, pick a drop zone, any drop zone, and go be a skydiver. Just go be you and be a skydiver. We need ladies. But the retention rate, like if I have a class of 10 people, if I'm doing a ground school for 10 people, it is likely that one of those people will put the work in to get their A license, those first 25 jumps to get to your, and the criteria that needs to be met within them to get your solo jumper's license to kind of jump with whoever you want, wherever you want. In the very beginning, once you're solo, you can only jump with an instructor or alone, like by yourself, kind of thing, a solo skydive. And once you get your A license, then you can start jumping as a group, like you see the big inspirational posters with, like 100, 200, 300, 400 people. Those are big world records and stuff. But then you can start working on stuff like that. It takes practice.
Dang. It's like, it sounds super tempting. I'm not gonna lie, but it's like, man, it's just wild at the same time. So like, how long is a class even to? If I were to say, hey, I want to be there next week, is it like a 1 day? Are we talking like
it is
a week?
Yeah, it is. The ground school, which is where I'm going to teach you everything about being a skydiver, the gear, and like saving your life. How to save your own life. You can't get away from me, and I expect you to go to your training and save your life, because it's not Hollywood. I can only chase you for so long if you actually get away from me, right? So you're not going to get away from me, though.
He said it's not Hollywood. I was just thinking that got to be fucking crazy right there, man. It's just like, oh, there you go. See you later.
And that can happen. Yeah, and I've seen that a couple times. But there's stuff in the gear, and you'd learn that in your ground school. There's stuff in the gear. We don't rely on it, but it's there to save us. But that ground school, if it's just you and I, probably 3 hours, I could get through the bookwork and some body work with you and the emergency procedures, to be confident in going and like putting your own parachute on you, helmet, goggles, radio, altimeter, and drag you out of the airplane. I teach you with I'll teach you hand signals, different things to do with your body, because we can't talk once we're in free fall. So I communicate everything, hold you, keep you in the body position that I taught you, and you do everything that I told you. You memorize it before we go, and then the time comes when you reach back and you deploy your parachute. And if you go altitude unaware, if you're not paying attention, I give you a little bit more time to figure it out, and I'll coax you into doing it. If you don't do it, I'll do it for you. We repeat the jump, kind of thing. You move forward, and we slowly let go of you on each jump. By the third jump, the two instructors would like to let go of you and see you free fall by yourself. Hold a heading, like face one thing in the sky and don't move. Fall down the elevator shaft. And if you start to spin and get out of hand, we fly back in and hold you and correct you, give you the right body input, and we let go again if there's altitude permitting. If not, we stay gripped on, deploy, you fly your parachute down, and we watch the video and critique and debrief, and we go again. And depending on how many times you need to repeat, how tenacious you are, how many jumps you're willing to do a day, we can get it done. And there's 8 jumps in AFF, the beginning jumps, accelerated free fall. And beyond that, you're in solo status. You jump alone, or you jump with an instructor, a coach. So it's a really well thought out, method specific style of teaching. I have people in their 60s. I have kids I have teenagers all the way up to people in their 60s coming to learn. And I have, solo skydivers out there in their 70s. There are groups, parachutists over 70s, parachutists over 50, 40, 60, and they go do big waves and records, and it's awesome. I would like to be an old skydiver. That's kind of my goal now.
Man, I was just picturing like a 70-year-old dude just jumping out of a plane. That is
Matt John.
Oh man,
heroes. Yeah, man. He's gray haired in his 70s. He's an organizer, and he teaches brand new jumpers, and he takes a brand new jumper and pairs them up with people with thousands of skydives and hundreds of skydives and makes a routine that they can all learn from and do safely and progress. It's a good community. We all want to get better together.
So for like something that it seems like you kind of like stumbled into, in a sense, how much of it has like impacted your life and who you are now? Like, and obviously you say you want to jump until basically an old man. So
yeah,
it's in your future, so
I didn't expect it to grab me like this. There are movies, and like any skydiver will tell you, like, cut away. We say cut away when we're going to get rid of our main parachute if it's bad. We got a second one. And we say you cut away and you go to your reserve. And you do that in life too, if you're a silly skydiver like me. And so yeah, I've like a bunch of people have made that decision to kind of cut that normal real world life away and be at the drop zone like all the time. It's my reality now. It's affected me drastically, brother. Like my outlook on life, what I want from life, what excites me, what gives me joy, like what I am able to take joy from. In my first few jumps in Lodi, man, I landed for my first solo skydive. I took my goggles off, my helmet off, and I looked down at the grass and I just couldn't believe how fucking green it was. you know, how blue the sky was. The farmer was irrigating, you know, it's just starting to see it go through the clover, and all these white butterflies are kicking up around me. And I'm like, dude, I've never been so stoked. I've never been so stoked on life. I've never felt so good about just being, you know, and I want to ride this. I want to ride this however I can. And I made some decisions to, I made some decisions to be where I am now. And I love it. I love the sky community. I love how it makes me look at the world, even like mentally one and physically completely different. Like I look at some of my pictures. I was thinking about what photos to send you and stuff, and I was scrolling through my Instagram for a few things, and like every other photo is a shot of the world from above. Like very few of my photos are of me are on the ground, you know. So my perspective of looking down at towns and where things are and how far away things feel and are um, is drastically affected by skydiving. It's weird, or how fast it feels like you're moving. I am guilty of being a fast driver, and it affects your reaction time and your thought process. How you can really have to slow down your thinking when you're moving that fast, or when things start to go bad. You have to think quickly, but you have to and do it. You have to do it slowly and methodically, you know. Um, and it does. It makes me appreciate life, man. Like it's not lost on me. I'm not a Ferris wheel. I tell people that all the time. Like I'm not a Ferris wheel. When we land, I pump people up because it's a skydive. Like just because we're together, like tandem is a lot safer because there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules that tandem masters have to follow, and you know, with care and packing and gear maintenance and things like that. Like my gear, like I'm checking my gear. I'm reliant on my own stuff. If my parachute rigger is a nice guy, he may tell me he notices something out on my main, but he's there for my reserve only, you know. So it's on me to look at that stuff. But with tandem, it's a lot safer. But I still tell people like this is real. That waiver you signed is no joke. And the training I gave you before we got on this airplane, like drastically affected how this skydive went. So you affected this. Like you be really proud of yourself right now. This is real. You should walk away from here like totally appreciating your life right now, because you just had an experience that you just can't get anywhere else. You put your brain and your body and your psyche like through so much hell just now, and you got to take it with you. You got to run with it, man, and let it do things to you. Um, and that's why I love it. I love being there when people get it, man. It's hardcore.
Well, I hate being like a person that's like, oh, you know, faith led you to these moments and things in life all the time. But it seems like life kind of led you to this path of like, you know, what happened with your father and everything else. And now, you know, your buddies take you skydiving. It's changed your outlook on life, the way you view your future and everything. I think a lot of people search for stuff like that, you know, like what makes them happy, what is there to life besides what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's super corny, but I always think of this Patrick Swayze line from Point Break, where he says it's where you lose yourself and you find yourself, and he talks about surfing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always clinged on to that quote for some reason, like it, because I think there's some there's some truth to that, you know, like
there is. I find myself in the chaos. You know, initially free fall is like pure chaos for your brain. You know, it's totally info overloaded, and you have to learn to like survive in it. And that chaos is so loud that your brain just goes silent in it. And I've never been big on meditation here just recently because I thought I could never have a quiet mind, you know, but like free fall, holy cow, you are not allowed. Your brain does not allow you to think about anything else. Whatever your goal is or your focus is for that skydive, like that's all it is. And your real goal in the back of your head is, can I reach my pilot chute? Like, can I call quits on the skydive whenever I want to, you know? And then what did I pack for myself? But yeah, it affects you, man. It affects you. But with go ahead. Sorry.
No, like the thing I like how you tied it into like your personal life. You know, you had your main parachute, but you pulled your reserve, which is where you are now. You know, you're on a different path. Like it's led you to be on a totally different trajectory than it seems like you were heading to before with your sales jobs and all this other stuff, you know.
And I had that plan, man. Like I was just starting to get comfortable. I was seeing like a bigger kid paycheck, you know, we'll say. And I was like, oh, maybe some of this stuff is a little more feasible, and some other future plans, family wise and stuff. And but I didn't really have a plan, man. I'm just like everybody else. Like I'm struggling and freaking out. And be like, I want to be this when I grow up. And here I'm 30, and I'm waking up and like, oh, I don't have the car. I don't have the kids, or the house, or the this or the that. Like, oops. But I have this thing going on that a lot of people are like, holy cow! Like, how do you do that? But it's one of those things. Maybe you trade. Everybody looks at life differently. It's not lost on me. Like, I enjoy going to work. Like, tomorrow is my Monday. Friday is my Monday. And Monday is my Saturday, which is rad. I've there's a NoFX song. I'm going to tell you what I really think I like about Mondays, and I love that I kind of live that life. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't. While everybody's at work, I can go handle all my stuff or go enjoy a touristy trap kind of place where nobody's there. It's not lost on me that I found this gig that is totally rad, and it doesn't eat at me in the same sense that like other people's jobs, like like, oh man, I'm going and doing the same thing every day. Like,
oh,
yeah, I'm going and packing a parachute and like getting on an airplane and sweat my ass off and being a clown and developing these crazy forehead lines. But it's so different every time, and that's what I love about it. I don't know, like I don't know what the appointments are. I don't know if I'm going to take somebody for their very first solo skydive, gripped onto them for dear life, and hopefully I've trained them enough, or if I'm going to take 10 new people for their very first skydive from 100 pounds to 280 pounds. Like, let's go. I don't know what's going to be thrown at my body every day, and that's really cool for me. It doesn't get mundane in that sense. Like, people ask that all the time, like, oh, does it get boring? It's like, no way, man. Like,
I feel like you can't get bored doing that. That's what I feel like.
Ask me that when we land, okay? When we land, you ask me the same question, you'll feel silly. It's always different. Whether you're taking someone because their body shape and size, like, super different. If you're taking their picture, like, same thing. Like, I always weigh the same amount, and that tandem pair changes weight every time. They're gonna fall faster or slower. If that person freaks out and doesn't want to put their arms out, they're gonna fall super fast. If they're woohooing, like, they're gonna go super slow. So I have to put the right fabric on, put the right gear on. So it's a puzzle. If it's a new student, is he gonna freak out in the door? Is he gonna grip onto the door and go deer in the headlights on me? And no, I can't do it, and I'm shoving you out the door because no sounds like go. And so I just don't know. I never know until my face is in the wind on that door, and then even then, I really don't know until we pull the handles, right?
I love that. Cool. No sound like go. So like when you land, I'm guessing you've had that happen when they're like, I said no, damn it, and you're like, well, go, hey, dude.
That's a big. Like, we make that joke a lot, and we make that joke on the way up, to get people kind of at ease. Like, hey, don't forget, in the doorway, no sounds like go, so don't get mad. But most people understand that, like, we're there to push them out of the airplane. So they're cool. They're cool with being shoved out of the airplane for the most part. I haven't had a tandem back out on me in the doorway yet. I've been the camera guy for people that have backed out in the doorway. But I think I'm not like boasting or anything because I've only taken 300 tandems, so it's bound to happen. But I'm really in people's ear. I try to be really motivating. I try to explain every single thing that I'm doing so they fill in the loop, where I'm attaching them, what strap I'm checking, how many times I've checked that strap, and I vocalize a lot of it out loud so by the time we get to where we're going out the door, it's no longer a question, it's like an expectation, that I've built for themselves, and very few people turn it down at that point. You kind of do it with yourself. You get that far, we're going out that door. You and me, we going out that door together. So I really enjoy it. I like for a long time I was on the other side of the camera. I became the camera guy that I wanted to be. So I'm not in a lot of that footage. There's almost 1,000 jumps, no footage of me. It's just me behind the camera. And so it's cool to be in the tandem master position now, where you see yourself on camera all the time, and you see the work that you're doing, and you see the fun that your students having, because behind them you can't see it. You can't see their face. You don't know if they're freaking out or if they're smiling or like what's going on until you really land. So when we watch the footage, it's nice that the footage just loops all day. Every skydive that's happened just loops all day in that place. So you're constantly seeing your face and hearing your voice, and it's cool to see these people like raging with me,
Yeah.
Watching them find themselves in this super terrifying environment for them. And meanwhile behind it, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
I know I definitely want to get into some of the videos. I picked a few and some pictures and stuff. But I was going to ask you too, because like you're talking about how it's changed, just your overall perspective on life and stuff. And so, like personally, outside of just the jumping and stuff like that, what else has it changed? Like
uh,
is that the
I
way
think,
you eat, the way all these different things that you do,
yeah,
or
here lately, I mean, I won't go into it too deeply, obviously, but personal things, changes in my personal life, and yeah, I've started to focus on my body a little bit more, and especially with being a tandem master, I want to be a little more conscious of my body. So it definitely changed, like the whole like eat for fuel. I'm trying to eat for fuel a little bit more right now. So it's changed my mindset in that, but just like overall, like mindset change is just like to appreciate the time here, because it's super cliche. We only got so much time, but like no, like really, man, like I'm 34 already, and then just in the last 4 years here have I really started like digging and loving and appreciating life. And you have to find these little things, and there are a lot of little things I just glanced over and didn't appreciate. And I'm like looking back on it now, I appreciated living up in the hills and like being in the like waking up in the Sierra Nevadas. I woke up in the national forest. I lived in the national forest. It's great. Like, but I don't think I appreciated it as much then as I would right now. Like with the mindset that I have from skydiving, I would drink in that environment twice as hard as I did when I was there, and I really did. Like I hiked in backwood, packed, slept and camped, and like I spent a lot of time outside up there. But I think even now, like knowing, like man, you might only be here for a year or so. You better do all of this right now. Like if it's driving me to like say yes to things. Um, like here, I went on that little road trip to the Grand Canyon, and I was just like a spur of the moment. My friend is here from Brazil, and he wanted to check it off his bucket list. And Rafa speaks like very minimally. He's learning English. It's super new for him, and I've been helping him translate and learn. And normally I'd be like hesitant to go on a road trip like that far with minimal funds and time. Like, oh, I got to be back for work, and like I can't go that far. There's no way I could do something like that. Like it's spur of the moment. And it was like, yeah, no, let's go. Totally. I've got my bags in my van. Like, why not? What else am I going to do this week? Why not just go?
well, it's
So
easy to say no, I think, right? I think it's easier to say no. I think I've learned that with kids. It's easier to say no than yes
mm-hmm.
to a lot of things. And when you apply it to your like personal self, your own being, you find it you can look back and say like, damn, I said no a whole lot on things I wish I would have done. And I think that's a real fear for a lot of people, to be that 80-year-old, 90-year-old guy or individual and be like, damn, I said no and missed out on so much life,
Yeah,
and now it's winding down.
and it can
Or
go.
it could end tomorrow, like you were saying. Who knows? Anything can happen.
Yeah, and it can go either way. When you take that, it's like the say yes, say yes, say yes, because yeah, most of the time, like you don't regret the things that you say yes to. You regret the things that you don't do. And I took a bite out of that saying about 2 years ago. I took a real deal bite out of take what you think you want, and I think I benefit from it, and I lost a lot from it too. It goes both ways. I'm choosing to try to look at my benefited side more and grow with it. But yeah, you definitely appreciate the thing. You won't regret the things that you do. If I looked back on it and saw maybe an opportunity and thought like, man, I can't believe I didn't take that. It'd be like it'd be like the skydive. It'd be like asking about if Brian said, oh, do you want to go skydiving? I was like, oh, I don't think so, bro. I'm kind of nervous. Like I would not have this life right now if I didn't work at that specific farm at that time and got friendly with just the right people. And I take it back even further than that. If you want to like follow the butterfly effect, it would go further than where my brain stops it. But I think had I not ever taken a little toker, I wouldn't have put myself in the position to meet the people that I did to become a skydiver. Not that they're skydiving because of that, but that's what led me to that group in some roundabout crazy path. It led me there because I met this one person. Nuts. And I'm so glad I said yes to that skydive, and I'm so glad that I told my gut to shut up every time it was like, man, don't go get on the airplane, don't go get on the airplane, why are you doing this, you're stupid, you're crazy. And that lizard brain, man, it's in all of us, and it's there to save you. It's there to protect you, and you have to find out when you know better.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's like the fear aspect of it too. If you do say yes and then something happens, a lot of people, I think that's what stops them from doing things, because then you're like, oh man, if I would have just said no, I wouldn't be in this predicament. This wouldn't have happened. But it's one of those things where I don't know if there's a right answer to everything. But like you're saying, I think it's easier to. I think it'd be personally. I feel like it's easier to say, look back and say, like, I tried it, even if it sucked. It was an experience I had. If I said no, I would have had it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still something to be taken from a bad experience.
Yep. That's where you learn your lessons, man. Bad experiences are where you learn your lessons, I mean, there's some tandem. There's some of me shooting tandems. I don't know if I actually have any footage of me actually doing a tandem. There's some close call videos in there. There's some like training videos. Whatever you want to pull up, man.
Yeah, let's see what I got here. I know I put some up here. All right, clicked on video.
And you fancy, dude. Yeah, these first, like the one with me gearing up the lady there, those 3, if you do the one in the middle and such, like that's me training in the middle there, one more to the right, 1, 2, let's see, 2104 here, 2104.
All right, and I gotta find this picture. I had a serious question about. It looked funny as hell.
Oh man, I wonder which one it is. There's shenanigans. The shenanigans happen in the sky. They might come after me if I tell you about too many of them, but yeah, this is a tandem landing. This is, with a lighter passenger. I just trained her on the free fall and just being geared up on the ground there and stuff. And yeah, you get pretty quick training. I see people like leave bad reviews about skydiving places because they didn't receive a lot of training. And well, to be honest, it's pretty minimal. It's pretty minimal training.
What's going on here, man?
Oh no. I know they're all good. I promise.
I know. I was watching them yesterday. Oh, here's that picture though. Here it is. I was like, what's going on with this one right here, man? I was like, what in the world?
My tan. I just want to talk about how tan I am compared to everybody else in that photo right there. So once a year, we do what is called Speedo Pig Day. And Mad John, which is one of the older jumpers I was talking about, he's just out of shot right there. But we all go in our Speedos, and it's to celebrate European history in skydiving. Don't ask me why we get in Speedos for it. I think it's a whole like European guy at the beach wearing his Speedo thing, And you can see most people in skydiving, not all of us are super thin by any means. So it's just a bunch of dudes going and jumping in their underwear. So we just built a big round in our underwear there, essentially. So that's how tight we are in the airplane. Most of the time, we fit about 16, 17 people in there. And to make it more comfortable, I'm sitting in what's called the hole.
And what was the rate of women that are doing this again? Because this is probably why right here, they're like, what the hell?
One girl. So the percentage in this is even smaller. Actually, I think it's bang on. I think we have 13 people in this airplane right now, and there's 1 female. So it's pretty.
Is that this person, right?
She's the one filming right now.
Oh.
She's also in her underwear. Now, girls, I don't want you. This is a big thing. I am about like strong women. Period. Now, if strong women to you means running around and being naked and being like positive about yourself, then hell yeah, that's strong woman for me. If strong woman for you is just coming out, is just being you and being vocal and like whatever strong woman is to you is strong woman. That's the end of it. But if you're a skydiver, check the box. You're badass. Okay. But you don't have to like. Don't see videos of people and think that you have to run around like with your ass out, because you don't. Like none of us are expecting that. We all want you to skydive. If that's who you are, hell yeah, do it. Like be yourself, but do not ever feel that expectation. Like any girl that's watching this right now that's thinking about skydiving, like don't think that. Like we just want you there to skydive. There's zero other expectation on you other than to be there and to learn to be safe. This is a hop and pop.
I'm hoping this plays, man. The spotty Wi-Fi right now, I'm kind of sketched out myself.
A lot of them are super high quality. Just I leave my camera settings on for like what we sell, so we run pretty high.
Oh. I saw this. I'm like, this is sick, dude.
See, that's just some trimmed up footage of what's called a hop and pop.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
And I'm practicing using a hand cam. That's where you mount your GoPro on your hand. And it's really dangerous in skydiving to put something so snaggy on your hand. But a hop and pop is when you're learning to skydive, we ask you to jump out of the airplane really low. Like we generally go to 13,000 feet, right? It's over 2 miles. It's way up there. It's a lot of time to get out of the airplane, get stable, where's the camera? Get stable on your belly and throw your parachute out at the right time, right? Well, with the hop and pop, we ask you to do it at like 3,000 feet. And if your skydiver brain like knows anything, it means you have 20 seconds before you hit the ground goes flat. So you have to be ready to be stable and throw your parachute out. So in the beginning, hop and pops are really scary, and it's to teach you how to be stable in the event of an emergency where you have to get out of the airplane low. So once you're a big kid, they're fun. You get out and you watch the ground move and you throw your parachute out. So if you watch my Instagram, I upload a lot of those, like where I'm doing what are called hop and tracks. And most people get out on a hop and pop and they throw their parachute right away. Well, if you go to 5,000 feet, you can skydive for like 20 seconds before you really need to throw your parachute out. And I've been doing that a lot lately. It's kind of fun. So that's what that video is. It's just a normal hop and pop from 3,000 feet. You're really close to the ground. It's a fairly long delay for 3,000 feet. But it's a lot of fun.
That sounds,
it's a lot of fun.
No, that sounds sketch as hell.
You can see that one from the ground, so that's why it is kind of sketchy.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's some good ones, man. I was loving these. Oh man, I hope these play though. So, I keep hoping. I was like, so this one looks interesting right here.
This is an AFF jump. This is category C. It's where it's your third jump, and it's where we've let go of you. The first two, we just hold you. Show me that you don't freak out. Pay attention to your altitude and deploy your parachute. On the second one, we learned to like move our arms. We're going to drop our shoulders to third, and we hold a heading. And on the third one, we let go. And like, Jesus, take the sky. But we stay really close. Like that's your job as an instructor, is to not let these people get away from you. You have to be. I'm not a ninja by any means, but you have to be able to stay close. So that's my good friend Lee Labarge. He's on what's called reserve side right now. I'm on main side. And our student is checking in, and you see I'm giving him hand signals. He's practicing touching his parachute. I wave off Lee to say, I think your body feels good. And when I feel comfortable, I let go of him. So I've let go of him. And he's showing me that he can face one direction. I'm going to hold myself still facing this one direction. And if you can do that for about 20 seconds, 18 seconds, I'm going to grip back onto you because it's time to deploy. I want you stable for your third parachute ride. I want you to be really stable. And we give this signal to deploy. So he waves and he's going to deploy. He reaches back, throws his handle out, and then we give the ultimate, yeah! We boogie out, and we go a lot lower. We give the student like separation.
Woo! I'm caught!
And I generally motivate people.
You are a rock star! So good, brother. I'm so proud of you, dude.
Man, when I was watching this one, like last night, I was like, you're oddly close to the ground. Like, is that just me or okay? It's perspective. I was like, man, yeah. That is. So is that's a 5,000 foot jump?
So no, we were from 13,000 feet on that.
13. Okay. Is that like your normal for
that's
like
normal?
A beginner?
Yeah. So I don't want to get too mathy, but okay, your first 1,000 feet takes 10 seconds. Okay. Every 1,000 feet after that is 5 seconds. You're jamming. You're absolutely jamming. 1,000 feet, 5 seconds. So it all happens really, really quickly. But we ask the student to deploy at 5,500. So he's going to reach back and deploy it at that. It takes about a second, 2 seconds to reach back, deploy it. We're at 5,000. He's in the saddle. His canopy is opening 4,500 feet, and now we have to track for at least 5 seconds to get away from them. 3,500 feet. Throw your canopy out. If you pack soft, this guy right here, it can take 1,000 feet for my canopy to open sometimes, like 900 feet to open sometimes. So if I wait too long on that one, or if I try to create too much separation, I find myself pretty low. But that's why you don't do the instructor job for a long time. When you do the training for that course, it's scary. Like when they teach you to be an AFF instructor, it's a scary course. And they drag you into what we affectionately call the basement. Because you're below your hard decks, you're below your emergency procedure altitude. So if anything is wrong, you have to handle it just bang, bang, bang immediately. There's no time to like think about it. So you're generally ready to be in that spot by the time you're an instructor. So it doesn't bother me to find myself. But in that video, it looks low. When I turn away and stare at the ground there, it looks low from the camera. I'm still at like 3,000 feet. I'm still 3,000 feet at that point.
So it takes about 900 feet though for your parachute. Is that what you're saying? To like
depends on the tack job. Yeah.
Because
really
I
tight.
didn't.
Yeah.
You don't think I wonder how many people just think because on the movies and stuff like that, they just rip it. It's like bam, they're
base jumping. Yes, base jumping. You can pack an instantaneous opening that will maybe take a couple feet, 20, 30, 40 feet. It depends on the style of base jump. So don't quote me on that number. It depends on what object you're jumping off, what pack job you're using. Base is a whole other thing.
So another question, because I'm thinking about like even like you got the parajumpers and the military. Is there like similar training and styles to what they're doing? Because I'm assuming there's different styles, just like there is to most things.
And in civilian skydiving, we have AFF, which is accelerated free fall. We call that harness hold. It means I just hold on to you and your own shit, right? We can do static line, which is like what the military does, where your parachute, the line is attached to the plane, and you step out, and the plane is what opens your parachute. You're under canopy immediately. In the Midwest, they do that a lot because there's not a lot of AFF instructors. So you can learn to skydive that way, and then you slowly increase your free fall time each time. That's also instructor-assisted deployment. That's where you take longer and longer free falls each time and slowly learn to skydive that way. Prefer AFF. Most places do AFF. The military, they have military free fall. Most of those guys come from the civilian area. We get hired, we go down to Paris Valley, and you teach people to skydive with full ruck. You have to go through a whole other course for that. Obviously, I know I have some friends that do that. That is like a mild goal. Would be to train the military to kind of get that taste of being in it, even though I wasn't. But I would love to teach our boys to do scary shit at night, with full gear. There's different methods to learn while you're in the military. And then if you come to me after the military, show me your logbook, show me what you've done, I can create a program to transition you into civilian free fall. I've seen some videos on YouTube of like a SEAL, that went to do a civilian transfer like that. And the guy that represented the sport unfortunately rolled out of a Spicoli van, with all of his smoke trailing after him. Yeah, bro, you look good. I'm not going to gear check you. You're a military guy. You're fine. Totally ruined that guy's time. He was not going to be a civilian skydiver ever after that. He thinks that we don't have any safety or concern for each other at all, and it's just not the case. Am I going to treat you like an adult because you have some military training? Yes. But am I also going to treat you like a child because you've never used sport gear before and you're probably going to hold on to your handle and kill yourself? Yeah, I'm going to hold your hand, dude. I want you to be alive. I want you to be a fun jumper. And I know that you have serious training, so I'm going to back it up right now. And I want military guys to know that. If you're going to come out and learn to skydive, you will find your brothers there. You'll find people that are like-minded. You'll find people that take it by the book. And we're really serious about our safety and our gear checks and checking our brothers and our sisters, right? Our friends. We all hold each other accountable.
Because I'm sure there's egos that get thrown in there too. I've talked to a bunch of military people. I know a lot of military people. The ego sometimes is insane. So I can just imagine, I'm sure there's dudes that show up and they're like, oh man, I've jumped with freaking backpacks full of this and boots. And I'm sure the weight that they carry is probably more than that, than what you're used to jumping with. And then
it's a different deployment system. They're used to pulling different handles, and then the parachute they fly. Some guys don't have any control over their parachute. So you jumping a sport parachute the first time, you can break yourself. Not my student, thankfully, he was in a different place, but a student very first jump, broke his ankle, first landing. Didn't learning to land a parachute is not super easy, but you only get a certain amount of training to go try it the first time, and there are things we teach you to not do, and if you do those things, you're going to break your ankle, and he broke his ankle. So I
didn't even think about that. I'm sure most people don't think about the landing part of it.
Flying a parachute is 95% of skydiving. For real.
I was just thinking, I'm sure a lot of people are like, how do I just not die? But yeah, it's you got to land. You don't want to break your legs. You don't want to. Oh man.
Yeah.
But another video I wanted to click on because they look like this one. You're just having a blast trying to teach this lady something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can click on that one, and this is how we do it. Like, I get the harness on you. That is with my like Last of the Mohicans haircut rocking right there. I have my Jedi braid. If anybody's wondering, this is my Obi-Wan Kenobi braid, and I had it well before the show came out. You can tell by its length. All right,
It's an awesome show. If you haven't watched it,
I haven't, man. I no streaming other than like the movies I own on YouTube right now, or like watching and listening to silly shit on YouTube. No streaming right
oh
now.
man, you're missing
Nothing.
out.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
Oh, come on, man. Don't freeze up on me here.
But it's really
What the
easy.
hell?
I mean, what you're going to see in this video, like me teaching her to squat down on the door, is like pretty much all I'm going to teach you for a tandem, and then get your head back on my shoulder, you know?
Hoping it works here.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Man, if I win the freaking jackpot, I'm getting a freaking studio built. That's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to have to as well, man. This is fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I like this stuff.
Bother my friends so hard. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah.
Thank you,
buddy.
and everybody that I have this. I really had planned, honestly. Like I was just gonna. I mean, I can't lie to anybody. I'm just gonna get on my phone and sit in my van, like at the Dutch Brothers parking lot, you know, and just do this.
And yeah, your video today cracked me up because you're like, I gave up candies, anything in a wrapper and a soda, but not giving up the Dutchess.
I can't,
Dutch
dude.
Bros.
I gotta have that milk. I need the chalky milk, man. That's like the chocolate that I'm allowing myself right now is chocolate milk. And they're
I totally get it.
Chocolate milk with shots of espresso, so why not?
Like I've given up alcohol and stuff, but man, like
Man,
coffee, never. Like
never. No.
That's gonna be that'd be. I'd cry if they said I couldn't have any. That's a different one, but
And that's fine. That's just me being meticulous. Like once I inspect that harness before I put it on you. I inspect it as I put it on you. I check it once it's on, and once we take the walk to the airplane, like before we get on, I touch every single thing again. And once we sit down, I reach around you 2-3 times in the airplane and really verify that everything is as I left it, and as I need it to be. And you can see that
for somebody like me, that's like, thank you for checking like 8 times before.
Yeah.
We
go. And I tell you, I say it. This is the 3rd time I'm checking this. You know,
build that comfort in their minds when they're. Before they go
I would want the same thing. And I think back about my tandem experience, and he just didn't really talk to me, man. Unless I prompted him, he really didn't squat down like this. And yeah, squat down in the airplane. I'm going to be right behind you. Ready, set, go. Like that's all. That's what you get, bud. We go.
So you're right in their ear like that, and they still. You're like, no. You said go, even though they said no. Even though.
Well, and I have a full face helmet on to like protect my nose. So I don't break my nose. If people throw their head back. I've had guys get nosebleeds. I've had the blood come around and fleck all over my visor. The one you're on right there is an amazing video. I'm kind of scared to share it because we're playing we're breaking a few rules.
Oh man, okay. Can I show this one?
Yes, you can. You can pull it to the volume.
As I'm playing it, can I show it? There we go.
So this is me filming a tandem pair. And that's my job, right? To get your stoke on camera. I'm gripped onto him right here. That's where we lose his face. But if you notice what's below us right there.
That's what I wanted to ask you. You're going through a legit cloud, right? We
are going through a super tall, this cloud is like 6,000 feet tall. And you'll see right here, we're going to bust through one layer of it. And it's going to open up below this kid. And you kind of see it it's a little choppy, but you see it on his face. Like we spin around right here and we open up into this, we're in the middle of 2 layers of clouds. And you can kind of see the ground there and you can see the blue back on the other side. And we get ready to go through another one that's probably 600-700 feet tall. And that's where like the whole skydive is spent in the blind. And you can see I'm rushing up, there's the ground, you know? So we're not supposed to go unless we have a mile wide clearance on each side of us. We can't really do that. And we're supposed to be able to see it. In theory, I could see the ground through. There was a hole underneath me. Like I could see that we were over the airport. In our drift, though, people don't realize that when you're falling, you are susceptible to wind drift. So you will, if there's 30 knots of wind or 20 knots of wind, in a minute you'll drift 1/3 of a mile. So we take that kind of stuff into account for where we jump out, you know. So we kind of drifted into that cloud, and I might have guided us into it a little bit too, because it's pretty rare that you get to go play in the clouds. There's a couple of videos I put in here of us, being cowboys in the clouds, and it's just in California, it's a rare experience.
I think this is one too. I think.
Yeah, so this is this kid's whole video, and you can leave the volume on. You can just do the intro if you want. This is just me kind of working. If you put the volume back on, this is where I shined for a while at the DZ.
Zach is ready, the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, dude? What are you doing here today?
I'm going skydiving.
Skydiving, second time.
Yeah.
The man's a professional.
So is it?
Excited?
Was it his first time
I think,
jumping?
man, I think anything to say to friends and family that didn't come with you?
No.
No? How about I love you? I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Give me a high five, Zach. I will see you in the sky.
That is wild. So his first time jumping, he's legit going through some clouds. I'd be scared shitless because, like, the video. I mean, you said you saw the ground, but man, like,
the waves cut through me, hypnotized.
And like you can jump to the end, like, because we just watched the skydive. If you jump to the end, it'll have, actually, yeah, let this one play out because there's some handy cam footage in this one, I think, and you can see me as the camera guy if you want.
all right, yeah,
You can jump to the free fall because it's just me. Like we take shots, so I got to get him loading up. We do the interview. Halfway up, we kind of check their stoke, and then it's exit time, right? And you get these kids shoved in the door, and it's a lot of fun, So we go through the skydive, and then I get under parachute. You race down to beat the tandem so you can film their landing, So hopefully your homie is accurate and he lands right in front of you, and that's a big thing as a tandem master, is like to land on your camera guy. I'm a pretty nice camera guy. Like, I'll run to you. But like most of us in this business, we will not move from where we're standing. Like, you come and land in front of me right here, kind of thing. So I'm kind of nice. And now that I'm a tandem master, like I really try. You should be that accurate. Like, if you're taking another life, you should be able to put that thing down wherever you want it. So you should be able to land on your camera guy. It's just me.
It's crazy though. I mean, it kind of reminds me even. Like when I was on the ship and I look over, because it's beautiful. Like seeing you guys when you first jump out and it's just sky.
Yeah.
And it always reminds me, like that reminds me of when I was on the ship and you look over the tail end of the ship and it's just nothing but water and sky. There's something calm about it,
Yeah. And so here, if you want to put the volume back on for the landing,
yeah, let's check this
it's
out.
just a different person, and that's what I love.
What's your favorite part, dude?
The cloud was sick.
Right?
Yeah.
Quite like that, man. I don't have to ask if you do it again.
He's like, shit, let's go, man.
Oh, there it is. Give me a high five, dude. I just put you on the spot. Rafa! Yeah, baby. Beautiful jump, boys. Zach, thank you for coming by Skydive. We will see you again, brother.
Now, this dude looks like a guy that would love it. Like, he's coming back. I'm not sure if he has, but
most of the kids that I meet, it's like their 18th birthday or they're headed off to college and they've got all these big grand plans, and go run with it, man. Go run with it. But I always tell like all these people that like, this is not like, don't put this up on some pedestal. Like, we're all very normal people. We just skydive, and you can too. Like, if you think about this a week later, like, look around your college. Your college probably has a skydiving club. This is the biplane jump.
oh yeah, man, I thought I had to put the video up on top because I saw the video. So that's you. Is that you
me.
right there?
The airplane is upside down.
I was like, what the hell is this guy doing, man? When I was watching the video, it's I was watching the video like, this is insane. That's
it's a
crazy.
1943 naval trainer, and the guy does rides around wine country. So he has a 2-seater like this, and he has one that holds 2 people up front as well. So you can go with your lady or your friend, special friend, But he comes out for skydivers. This plane is not meant to fly upside down. It abruptly shuts off when you turn it upside down because it doesn't have a fuel pump that sends fuel that way, right? So as soon as it flips over, essentially you stand up. I mean, you'll see the video, but you stand up and you hold the wing, and as it rotates over, gravity just pulls your feet out, and you're hanging there. And when you feel that you have the engine turn off, essentially, you just let go because he's got to right that thing again. And we're at about 4,000 feet at that one, but this is a really cool shot. I paid $230 for the jump ticket to go to 4,000 feet to get this photo. It's very vain thing.
It's an awesome shot. The video is, man, I wish I could find it because the video itself is even probably does that a little bit more justice, I guess, because it is
It
kind of
happened
cool
really
seeing
fast.
him slowly turn over. It looks slow in the video, but I'm sure in the moment it's just
Yeah. Well,
Is
so
it-
to do it, he has to dive the airplane because it's not meant to rotate, right? It doesn't have the power. So he has to dive to create it, and then he does this wing over. So you kind of go zero for a moment, and you feel yourself get pressed down into the seat as he does this pull, as this nose up, and you're like, oh shit, what's happening? And then gravity just checks out, and you like you rotate over in it. It's crazy.
So is it like a different feeling? Is there like the first time? I'm not sure if that's the first time you did that, but like a different sense of fear doing that because you're like, I've never done this before. Like, what if the freaking propeller gets you? What if something like that happens?
It was totally lost on me. Yeah, I've always wanted to fly an open cockpit airplane, right? I always wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to go to Naval Academy, be a fighter pilot. Top Gun totally worked on me, almost. It almost worked on me. But I always wanted to ride an open cockpit airplane. You see them at air shows, like these super old planes, and you're like, nobody does that anymore. Well, yeah, they do. And that's the same thing with the cloud, man. I wanted to say that, like, I used to dream, man, driving for BMW about touching a cloud. Like, oh, people don't touch clouds. Like, get that dream out of your head. Yeah, we do. We do that shit, man. But as far as the scare level, like, yeah, it was weird taking off an airplane with no cockpit or with no, huh? What? Bottom left.
Yeah, got it right here.
Oh, you got it right there. Okay, cool. So I was like, huh?
I'll let you keep talking though. I'll put it on mute because I'll.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It wasn't. It's scary in that, like, your gear, right? The seat is really tight, and you don't want to put pressure on your pins. Like, there's two pins that hold your parachutes in place, right? And if those things come dislodged, like, that canopy is going to come out of this cockpit, wrap around the tail of that airplane, and mess both of you up, right? So you're antsy to stand up, and he's doing 100 knots, So when you reach up into the wind like that, it throws your whole body back. You're just like, whoa, and you're gripped on for dear life, but not super worried about the prop. It's pretty far away right there. It's a big airplane. It doesn't look like it, but it's really big. And yeah, in the wing, as soon as it wings over, like, gravity just yoink. Like, I didn't put any effort into that. It just pulled me out. And then you let go kind of as quick as you can for him because the fuel all pours out of the top and it comes right back at you. So the quicker you let go, the better.
So he even kind of has like a oh shit type of moment.
Every single flight. Yeah, he did like 20 trips that day or something.
Oh, damn. That's crazy. Yeah, these are, man, just wild, dude. I was like,
the orange goggles in the center right there is my mom. So this is my very, very, very good friend, Brian Reeve. It's who got me into skydiving. And he's a big, big reason that I'm still in it. And I'm really stoked to have him as a friend. That jump right there is probably my 10th time, like, taking a live human like that, And in the beginning, when you learn, they throw really crazy passengers at you. They try to make it really difficult so you can handle it. And then for about 10 jumps, you have to take people that have a license. Like, you can only take people that have a license. They have to trust you, and understand the risk going with you as a new instructor. And Brian did a lot of those jumps for me. He was very willing to go risk himself with me. And he's done a lot for me. That guy's done a lot for me. And I'm very grateful to have him in my life.
Oh, you're lucky to have somebody like take you under their wing like that and, help you get to where you are now. It sounds like you had that kind of what a lot of people go through trying to find their thing, so to speak, Sounds.
Yep. Yeah, the few in the middle right there with the blue parachute, that's my mom. That's the second time I took my mom for a skydive. What is he? I can't point at this thing.
It's like you've had a pretty interesting journey to get where you're at. It's not a straight line. It's had its ups and downs, but you've kind of stumbled into something that's really put you together and helping you find whatever it was that you're missing or were missing,
Yeah, exactly. I'm super grateful for it. And yeah, I will do it as long as I can. And I want to bring as many people into it as I can, like, safely, whether it's with me once, or if you're ready to do it, like, all the way, it's a big help. It can be a big help mentally.
Yeah, I totally get it. So Oh man. Well, internet connection issues the whole time, but I don't want to take up your entire evening or anything. So
I'm headed to the airport, man. Home is where the windsock
lost
hangs.
you.
I'm literally going to go and prep my gear for the morning so that when we roll that door open, I can just go.
Sounds good, man. Again, I appreciate you taking some time.